Absolute Superman issue 13, Jason Aaron writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art. So, last issue's cliffhanger was Ra's al Ghul and his army coming to Smallville, and this issue actually kind of starts off, well, it starts off kind of where it left off, because it says 6 weeks ago, but it's kind of telling a lot of the early part of the fight in hindsight, and we're
the Battle of Kansas.
Yeah. So we're actually 6 weeks deep into this thing where Superman has told Saul to leave him and go and kind of like fortify the town. He's built mines for the people to go underground so they can hide down there when they're not fighting. Lois and Jimmy are trying to broadcast using Saul out to the world because, Lazarus Corp have destroyed the local cell towers. They've blocked the internet. They're trying to like basically keep it quiet that any of this is happening here. So Jimmy and Lois are the ones that understandably are trying to get the word out that this is happening, this heavily illegal war on Smallville, and try and raise awareness of it. So that's the basic gist of what's happening. And there's a lot of, obviously, Superman coming in, taking out tanks as they're coming towards people, and your various other ideas. And a lot of the narration is Lois's like writing or radio speech as she's talking about what she's seen about Superman being this hero and all that kind of thing. I really liked a little moment between Jimmy and Lois where Jimmy kind of turned to her and said, "Hey, when did you know?" And she's like, "No, what? Like, no, you were on the wrong side." And it's an interesting idea that both her and Jimmy realized they were on the wrong side, even though they weren't on the same side. Like, she puts it as they were both at opposite ends of a spectrum. Whereas, when Superman showed up, it was like, oh no, there's actually just a good side somewhere in the middle that isn't one of these extremes. So I don't know, I like that little bit of story.
I like that, and then keeping the mainline continuity of Lois being a bad speller. She's says how many K's are in despotic oligarch, and Jimmy's like, not a one. So
I don't even think I've heard of that word before. Never mind, can tell you how to spell it, Lois. But all right.
But yeah, Jimmy there. But no, I do really love that moment, and just the way that Sandoval draws those panels of Lois, like he does the push in with her, and it was the exact same moment you did. I'm guessing. So great moment.
Another good moment is a guy comes up to Superman when they're in the mines and basically admits that when Superman was staying with the Kents, he's the one who called it in because he saw him. And he wanted to come up and apologize because, he bought into the Lazarus propaganda. He bought into the idea that he should report anything if he wants to stay in their good graces. But obviously now they're just, coming in to kill everyone because they want to get to Superman. He's thanking Superman and apologizing because he's been saving them and whatnot. And Superman refuses to shake his hand at first, but kind of, stops and he goes over and shakes his hand. But his narration's very interesting because his narration's like, oh, I could rip off his arms and throw him out of the sun. And then when he goes to shake his hand, don't crush his hand, don't crush his hand. He's really having to fight himself to be the Superman that we think of him as, but he's not really thinking of himself as that. Especially since there's later points in his narration where he's like, these people deserve someone, but I'm not this. I'm not
me.
It's not me. He's got this denial of being their chosen one for now. And who knows when he'll reach that level of acceptance that he is living up to these ideas.
That's typical Joseph Campbell hero's journey stuff, right? Is the refusal of the call. So he's just like, well, no, I'm here to help, but the only reason I'm here to help is because I'm here, right? I'm the cause of this. I'm not the savior. I'm the cause, And so I like that, but I also like where he, the guy admits to narking on him. And Superman turns that around. I was like, you have a sharp eye. We could use you on guard duty, right? So he takes this thing and even just outwardly, even though on the inside he's just like, I can't stand this guy. This is the reason for my problems. He still spins it as like, yeah, thank you. We could use your, that kind of ability. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. So there's more action of Superman fighting these guys in the mech suits and whatnot, using his powers. It's a whole thing. But Lois comes up to him and says, hey, we can tell you're exhausted. You've been doing this for weeks now, and you've been doing it 24/7 by yourself. It doesn't matter how super you are. You clearly need a break. You need to relax a little bit. And he obviously shuts that down. But just as this is happening, they were teasing earlier on when Raz was talking to Talia that Brainiac's like doing something else. He's not here to help us. Turns out he was hacking into Sol this entire time, and that kicks in around here, where all the red sun crystals turn into purple crystals, and Brainiac's like, "Oh, Sol's gone. I'm the one in charge now," and it blasts Superman. It basically traps Jimmy and Lois and Lana behind like a sort of cage as Talia comes in with an army of tanks and mechs, and the issue ends with a full page spread of Ra's al Ghul holding a kryptonite sword, towering over Superman and saying, "You will kneel before Ra's al Ghul." So they're giving him some Zod lines there, and says, "You will beg to be my son." So that's how we wrap that up. Yeah, I like this issue quite a bit. I think the main thing, obviously, I like that scene with the guy confessing to him. But my favorite thing here is about, because you've got Lois writing or talking on the broadcast about what's going on in this kind of past tense. It made it feel a little bit more kind of, I don't know, maybe not quite epic, but a little bit more like someone passing on the tale of a hero kind of thing, as opposed to just seeing it play out in sort of present tense.
It's the legend making of Superman, right? It's because of Lois and Jimmy, they'll hear about the great deeds of Superman, and that again goes into the legend of him. I also love that Aaron brings back around the state motto of Kansas was that Ad Astra. I was just looking for it as you were talking, and I'm not being able to find it on the page. And he Ad Astra per aspera, and basically that's what the people of Smallville, they take that seriously, right? They're going to go upwards to the stars through the struggle. It says to the stars through difficulties, and it's that spirit that lives within them. And that's almost like reinforcing who Superman is here, right? It's almost like he is pulling his strength from them, and I like how that came back around here. And this whole Aaron gets into the kind of the history of Kansas and the border wars and all this other stuff. And so just to see, as a person that does love history, seeing him use that to further the legend of Superman, I really appreciate. So I really love this issue. This was some really good Superman.
Yeah, I think I like the choice to jump ahead a little bit in time and treat it like this war that's been going on for some time. This idea that it's been kind of this like eternal struggle of trying to keep the people of the town safe. I think that works. It makes you feel like it is a little bit darker, even though he's succeeding for the most part. It feels a little bit more kind of like relentless, I guess, than most things that Superman typically faces, where he'll deal with it very quickly. So I kind of like that side to it. I mean, if do I have a complaint? I don't know if I really do. I guess the only thing I could really say is that the cliffhanger of Raz coming in and being like, "You will be my son," is very similar to like two other cliffhangers we've had so far, in some way. Arguably it's even very similar to the last cliffhanger of them just coming towards the town. It's just the next logical point as opposed to something that's genuinely surprising. But also like, because in that same way though, it's not like they're betraying anything here by doing this again. I'm looking for something to critique, and it's the only thing I can say is that the cliffhanger is not anything particularly surprising or special. It's just kind of like, of course it is.
It's not a gasp. You're not like, oh man. But I will say, I feel like Roz here is matching Superman's relentlessness, right? Where he's not giving up either. He's, how many times that Superman tells him no, he wants that, for whatever reason. He wants him to be his heir,
Well, I didn't mean that Superman was being relentless. I meant that the thing he was facing was relentless, and that's why it's been so constant.
Yeah, some real good stuff.
Yeah. No. I don't know if I think I like the last issue a little bit more, which is the one where it kind of revealed that the townsfolk are always going to stand up for Superman. I think that moment hit really just a bit harder than anything in this one, but this was still good. It's still building that idea of the legend. And if the core idea of this is for the legend of Superman to build before he's kind of believing in himself, and then that'll like help inspire him to believe in himself, because normally, not that Superman comes into the world super cocky or anything when he first appears as Superman, but I don't feel like he has this like level of like self-punishment and doubt. Here
he definitely has that survivor's guilt here more than he does in the traditional continuity.
Yes. So I feel like this idea that everyone's going to buy into the idea of Superman, not because he's projecting it because he knows he needs the idea, that they need the idea of Superman, because that's typically what he does in regular continuity, but the idea that it's going to happen anyway just because he's doing the right thing, and then that's going to be like a feedback thing where maybe he'll eventually see himself as something other than just a broken survivor.
Yeah, it's more that he's being inspired by the people more than the people are inspired by him, right? So it is creating that, like you said, that feedback here, you know, because he's looking at the people, at Lois, at Jimmy, and the people of Smallville, you know, and he doesn't understand why they believe in him so much, you know, but because they do, I feel that that's going to be the key to him, because it's looking pretty dire, man. Like, Soul's gone, right? Soul's his heritage from Krypton. Soul was the one that was taking care of him. It was his Alfred, if you will. And now that's gone. It's been, you know, corrupted by Brainiac. That's another great page too, is when everything turns purple and you can see Brainiac's face in the purple crystals, almost like this evil ghost, you know. But yeah, and so he's really at the bottom here with this, you know, gigantic Ra's al Ghul with a kryptonite sword, you know. Wondering, you know, how's he going to get out of this one? So yeah, it's, you know, I'm really glad that Jason Aaron's writing Superman.
Yeah. All right. Will you give an absolute Superman?
I'm gonna give this a 9.
I am going to go. I'm going to go 8.5.